season of lights. It's a season of light. So we are remembering that. So are you going through some processes, Myrna, about being emotional, being happy in moments and sad in moments and melancholy and all the different emotions that this time of year seems to bring up for all of us, or most of us, I should say?
Well, I definitely love the spirit, but if you ask me, for me, it's more a time of reflection. I kind of have this feeling in my body of the year is closing, and I want to be more inwards. It's kind
Yes,
of,
and you're
yes, continue,
And
please.
you're, yes, and you were, and being Venezuelan, usually it's the time of being, parties and just so many different things, of course, the different celebrations and Christmas Eve, going to mass at midnight and or all night basically, and all of that. So that's not always what you want to do, right?
Exactly. We were talking earlier about the feeling of friction between wanting to be more in reflection, more calm, and the social commitments, family commitments. So, how do
Yeah.
you balance one thing and the other? I guess this is a challenge this year.
Yeah, and it's also, I feel like one thing we're going to be chatting, and many things we're going to be chatting with Dr. Dravon about, and one of the reasons we're doing this particular show about a week before Christmas, and this will air at different times, is that we have, I just want to remind us that we have so many different ways to celebrate. And I know that we have, I know for me, there are different ways that I have in different kind of segments of my life. Sometimes it was about a big tree and lots of my brothers and sisters, lots of presents, lots of food, lots of whatever. Sometimes it was like when I was talking about last week about being in South Africa and not being with all of our family and creating another thing. And then at different times having more money, honestly, and being able to do more, and other times really not having very much money and kind of the yikes, how am I going to get through? And sometimes it's about the music, and sometimes it's about, like you say, the reflection. And so I think one of the most beautiful things that we can do for ourselves is to give ourselves permission to work with what we have each year and to know that it's not going to always be this way, whatever it is. As we say, the only thing that we can really depend on is change. So, next year it will be a different situation. There's that song that is such a sad song, but it's like that song, uh, we'll all be together if the fates allow, basically next year. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas. It's like, ooh, that song always makes me sad. But it's also a reminder of we're doing what we're doing this year. And then next year, we can create something different. But let's just make it as jolly and happy as we can this year with what we have around us. Can we do that? Can you do that, Myrna?
I guess I guess it's the only thing we can do. And I really like when you say that it's not always gonna be like this. So let's take it one holiday at a time. What do I have? What am I feeling like? What can I do with it? I love it. I couldn't agree more with
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Well, it is that time of the year, and in Unity in Marin, where I used to be one of the elder singers or main singers, however we put it, Christmas always began for Unity in Marin after I sang my dad's song. Why can't every day be Christmas? Then the minister would say, "Yay, we've heard Sonny's dad's song. Now we can start Christmas officially. It has begun." Ding, ding, ding. So I'm going to quickly just sing "Why Can't Every Day Be Christmas" and then bring on Dr. Gravon because this is my tradition, one of my traditions. Here we go. I'm just going to do it a cappella. Why can't every day be Christmas? Every day be merry. Every day be one that's of good cheer. Why can't every day be Christmas? Every day be jolly, every day be one that's free from fear. There are children who are homeless, who are frightened and alone, who may dread the chilling darkness of the night. There are nations that are fighting, young men who may die, who may never see the dawning's early light. No, may never see the dawning's early light. Let's make every day a Christmas, every day be jolly, every day be one that's of good cheer. Let's make every day a Christmas throughout and all the year, so that folks will love another, treat each other like a brother, and deck the halls with gladness to be. Bing, 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 bum, bum, doo, doo, doo. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you. So let us bring on the beautiful Dr. Dravon James and have her just dive into my Merry Christmas mood.
First, I want to say that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. My dad wrote that, a nice, good Jewish boy, man, in 1987. And it's truer now than ever, isn't it? Ooh, I mean, ooh. I always cry at the end of it, so I just made myself get through that. But it's thank you for that. So Dr. Dravon, I'm so happy you're here with us today because just to let you guys know, she wrote this really beautiful book that I love so much called Freedom is Your Birthright. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because I think that's such an important concept. I think that should be a bumper sticker, a t-shirt, something we put on our refrigerator, we put on our cell phones, just to remind ourselves all the time that freedom is our birthright and whatever that means to us. And she's also a beautiful motivational speaker and author and an everyday peacemaker. I love that. So why can't every day be peace day? Like I say, why can't every day be Earth Day? You know, all these things that we celebrate once a year, and it's like, oh my goodness. We have gravity all the time. So, you know, all these other things are happening anyway, so we might as well acknowledge. So welcome, Dr. Dravon. Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a delight to be here. And thank you for that special treat. That song was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, you heard a little bit about what we were chatting about, Myrna and I, and I just love you to dive right into, because I know you have a lot to say on what we were saying.
You guys said so much in that span of time, and I just want to just recall a few of the words that I heard that stuck to me. It's a time of reflection. It's wanting balance, right? And then, of course, there's freedom, and the big question is why can't, right? So I absolutely love those themes. And what came into my mind as you were singing that song, and I really want to say this because perhaps somebody needs to hear this, is that there are no opposing forces in the universe, right? Everybody makes the next person necessary. And we live in that space right there, right, makes even the melancholy, right, necessary, right? Sadness is a part of the emotional wheel, right? You look at that beautiful rainbow of emotions that we're going to get to experience during this life's journey. And there are some emotions on there that we definitely don't want. It's kind of who wants to be sad? Who wants to spend time there? But oftentimes people do find themselves in that space. So I want to just back up a little bit and tell you what the definition is of peace that we use, Everyday Peace, which is the name of my organization, Everyday Peace. And peace is wholeness, completeness, nothing missing, nothing broken, right? So if we take out these things that we find to be undesirable, we're not whole, right? We're not whole. That's part of the journey, part of the learning. Most of our learning happens in those places that we characterize as dark, right? So reflection is part of it. Reflection is part of the season, right? And every day could be Christmas. It's up to us, right? Just like every day could be Monday. Nobody would probably choose that, right? I often tell people, I said, if I got to choose, every day would be Friday, 5 p.m. Oh my goodness, that's just every day, 5 p.m. Friday, right? So every day, it's up to us. We determine it is what we say it is. Now, how powerful is that? How powerful is that? When we really think about it, nothing has any more meaning than what we give it. Nothing.
Well, yes, absolutely. And I feel like, as you were chatting, I was thinking about emotions and sadness or melancholy or, those feelings. And I realized, I do work with different, not practitioners, masters really. And I've learned in my many decades that going deeply into our emotions is not a bad thing. It's actually a delicious, beautiful thing to do. And I think at this time of year, we actually have the opportunity to go into our feelings and not be either an ostrich and have our head in the underneath the Christmas tree, or just kind of back away from the holiday, back away from the celebrations or back away from things that might make us emotional because perhaps they're not like they were when we were younger, or they're not like they were when we were married, or whatever that perfect time was in our life that we feel we can never capture again. I feel a couple things about that. I feel like, number one, true, that is true. We can't. We're not that same person either. So why don't we bring our wisdom and our beauty and our hard knocks and whatever that we've gone through to bring us to this day, to bring us to this particular year, this particular day of December, and bring all that with us and say, wow, what can we do with that? Again, what items do we have to put together to make something beautiful to give to someone? What do we have to work with? And work it, people, work it. Like, don't shy away from it. Go in and feel those emotions. Put on those movies that, like, all the different movies that make us, cry and break our hearts open. Why not use this opportunity to go deeper within ourselves and maybe do a little excavation, maybe dig a little out that, why are the certain things making us sad? And then we realize, oh, maybe one of the feelings is because we can never capture a certain thing. Okay, well, then maybe we want to capture something else, because whatever we do this year will be memories in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever. So why don't we just make some cool memories this year that are, so that's one of my 95 points I want to make. So I'm going to stop talking and let you chat.
It was so profound. You said, oftentimes we are afraid to go into our emotions, and that is just so true. Self-awareness is really the key to having a peaceful experience in this life's journey, is being self-aware. And I would tell you that most of us know so little about ourselves because we are so afraid to go into our emotions. It's like quicksand. Who wants to get stuck in a bad memory and you can't get out? You're there for a week, or you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just stuck in this rut. And so what I always advise people to do is to go into that, wherever, to flow, first of all, remain open and flow. But if you find yourself flowing to that part of reflection where there is some maybe unwanted emotion, you just watch it as though you were watching a movie, right? As though you were watching television, and become extremely curious, right?
Mhm.
That takes away the sting of the suffering. I would say pain is going to happen. But you can choose to suffer or not choose to suffer once you become conscious of your ability to actually become the observer of your experience, right? And then you enjoy it so much better. You're like, oh, that's curious. I wonder how that's going to turn out for her, and then you're involved and excited at the same time, which increases the energy around you. So therefore, you don't fall into quicksand and you can't climb your way out of this melancholy mood, or, it serves its purpose because a lot of our empathy and compassion is attached to that. If we had never experienced anything that made us angry or lost or disappointment, could you imagine how honored we would be? Right? People walk around, you're like, oh, get over it, right? But when you've been there yourself, realize that getting over it is a process, right? And then we can come together and we can have these conversations that are so meaningful for people. Last night is true. I'm getting ready to do this show today. And last night I was awakened about exactly 2:22 in the morning. What does that mean? Right? Exactly 2:22 in the morning. And I had this sense of dread. Something had happened earlier professionally. And I thought to myself, how am I going to resolve that? How am I going to take care of that? And it just became, how you wake up and you're totally awake and it's heavy on you, right? And you feel yourself slipping into this quicksand of a mood. And I reminded myself of the same thing I remind others of. Wow, become aware of what are you feeling? I said, it's 2:22 in the morning, exactly. I'm anxious because I got to get up in a couple of hours, right? And now I'm worried about something that happened yesterday, trying to figure out how to resolve it today, instead of trusting and remembering that it's okay. The body does this. It just needs to be rerouted to remind myself that I am safe in this moment. Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. When you were saying a couple things that when you were saying about, like people say, get over it. Or even if someone's had someone pass away, people sort of say, well, aren't you sort of over that by now? Or those kinds of things. And I think that preposition, get over it, is just kind of ridiculous. Or the word over. It's like we have to kind of get into it. We have to get under it. We have to get through it. We have to, we don't want to necessarily get around it or over it, or
it's part of your journey. It's part. My mother-in-law passed away some years ago, and I can remember my daughter was small, and she said, I'm afraid to talk about this, but I feel like I should talk about it because I don't want to make Daddy upset. And I thought, well, you know what? The fact that you feel like you should talk about it, let's go with that feeling, because our mind oftentimes traps us in lack mentality and fear, false evidence appearing real. That's always what the mind does. It can really abuse us if we let it. But I said that feeling is to you. You know what? I love to talk about Grandma. I like to keep her as part of our daily experience. Let's go with that. Let's see what comes out of that. And it was beautiful. I said, let's just be curious about it. If we find that it's having negative effect on Daddy, then we'll just back off of it. But let's just see what happens. Let's move with our feelings. Let's flow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yes, let's find out what happened. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, and just in that space of awareness, and I just want to go back to this balance. That's so very important to be in this space of awareness, because especially around the holiday times, there is a lot of loss. People are reflecting on, loved ones who are no longer here, right? Job situations that no longer exist, right? Finances, health situations that seem like they're never going to come back to a healthy state, right? A lot of people feeling like they're out of balance. There's an imbalance going on in their life. And in that space there, anchoring on to what's true and what's working now. What's true now? What's working now? Just in this moment. The mind does oftentimes abuse us by carrying us way back to the past and saying, oh, you can never recapture that. That's okay. We're evolving. It's okay. That is always going to be a part of me. Right? I get to retell it and refeel it the way I choose to as I evolve. Right? We're always, we can't carbon copy last Christmas. It's, my kids are now 19 and my son will be 17 on Sunday. And I wish I could carbon copy 9 and 7. It's so exciting, right? You just can't. It's evolving and it's changing, and magic is happening now. I'm sure I'll look back when they're 30, whatever, and I'll look back, oh wow, I remember when they were, freshmen or junior college or junior high school, and want that time back.
Yes, you will. Well, I wanted to speak to, when you were talking about everything you were talking about, one thing in particular about loss at this time of the year, because often that's part of a holiday that was and will never be again. And with my dad's song that he wrote in 1987, he was still alive, and he passed away very soon after that. And our dad was, I mean, I have 5 brothers and sisters. My mom died when we were little, so he married Mary Lou, and she has 3 kids. So we just had a menagerie of people, and our house was the fun house, and so everybody had the friends, the boyfriends, the whatever. We had a big house. Christmas, we had big performance with a huge tree and a million presents and gifts of puppies, live puppies to people, and guitars and meat clothes and food and everything. I mean, my dad, being, as I say, a Jewish man, boy from Chicago, loved Christmas so much. And so when I sing the line at the end, it always gets me because um, by the way, Dr. Dravon, this song was buried away. I didn't even know about this song, and I'm a musician. I've sung my whole life. And the sheet music of Why Can't Every Day Be Christmas came out somewhere. I don't know, somebody had it in storage or something. I never heard my dad sing it. I never even knew about it. And my dad sang all the time, and he performed, and I went to everything. Never heard the song. And I saw the sheet music with the words, Why Can't Every Day Be Christmas on top of it? And this big, nice sheet music. So for 5 years, I put it next to my tree every year as a kind of like an ornament, sort of thing, by the tree with the presents. And then one year, I looked at it and I thought, what is this song? And I took it to the pianist at Unity in Marin. I said, can you play this for me? Of course, he could play it. He played it. And I said, okay, I was just crying away. And then I said, can you sing it? And he sang it, and I was hysterical. I mean, I couldn't even breathe. I was crying so hard. And then I decided, okay, this is left for me to sing. The angels moved it around my house and did whatever. All of a sudden, now I'm ready to sing this. And so I did perform it at Unity, and it was almost impossible to get through. And especially because the last 2 lines are, okay, let's make every day a Christmas, every day be jolly, every day be one that's of good cheer. Let's make every day a Christmas throughout and all the year so that folks can love another, treat each other like a brother, and deck the halls with gladness to be here. And my dad's not here. So it's like when I sing that song, that line, it reminds me I am here. And so for guys out there, our people are not here, but we are. We're meant to go on. We're meant to be the people to carry on the traditions, to carry on the love, to carry on for our people who are younger than us, for us to carry on that love and that fun and that joy and that whatever it was of our people who are no longer here. They're counting on us, guys. They're counting on us to keep it going. So let's keep it going.
I want to say something that you just said that verses carry on in oneness, right? So there is that acknowledgement that there is no separation, right? There is oneness, right? And so it's beautiful. It's one tree with all these multiple branches, right? And all different phases and stages of development. Those energies that no longer exist in a physical body, right? Still oneness. Those experiencing those physical bodies who are experiencing one part of the journey and one level of consciousness, all oneness. That acknowledgement of oneness is really where we get compassion, where we get empathy, acceptance. That's where we get that, from that concept and that belief that there is only one us.
And we know that. And again, and we do know that, and many of us in the spiritual community and many people watching Mindalia TV know that as a concept. And at this time of the year, it really tests that knowing, because it's sort of like, it can be like you have that beautiful tree, but one of those branches is just not here, and again, so I just remind myself, that it is about, like I was saying, carrying on. And when you were chatting earlier, you were talking about some different things, and I just wrote down on my paper here the sadness and the darkness that we feel sometimes. This time of year, it is also the darkest time of the year in the world. For most of the hemispheres, actually, or at least the northern hemisphere. And then we can really turn that sadness into love, and of course the darkness into light. And I was thinking of the Grinch who stole Christmas, and how he, how he just was so sad because he just didn't, he didn't feel like people loved him and cared about him. And so then he got all bah humbug, and it was like, well, screw it. Like, I'm just going to steal their Christmas, and I'm just going to make them all miserable because I'm miserable. And, but Cindy Lou Who just pushes through that. She just doesn't even see it. She doesn't even get it. She see, the Grinch, like everybody else is terrified of the Grinch, but she's just like Mr. Magoo. She just goes straight through like a laser light, and so she gets to his heart. And it's like, well, yay, Cindy Lou Who. And we can all be Cindy Lou Who this time of year. We can
And
be
you could
that
not have
laser
a
that goes
better
through.
You could not have picked a better example. First of all, I absolutely love that movie, especially with Jim Carrey, but I love Dr. Seuss. But you couldn't have picked a better movie because there is so much in there. This display that the Grinch had, right? That looked like anger, right? To the untrained eye, that looks like anger, right? But when you become self-aware, you know that's fear. Right? That's fear, and that's loneliness, right? And sometimes, you're not going to be able to get underneath that like a Cindy Lou unless you're in that position where you have so much self-love, so much self-awareness that you are so in tune with your true self that you can see past the facade of the anger, right? Of the harsh words. And I'm just talking about us in our society and during holidays, of the demanding tones and, the overbearing presence. You can see past that to the loneliness and the need to feel important or else, be extinct and no longer relevant. You can only do that as a self-aware person, right? As a self-aware person. There's a point in my book when I talk about, lean into conflict. And a lot of times people have conflict because most times conflict is because we believe there's a lack of something. There's a lack of something here. And for me to concede means I won't get my share. Right? Whatever my share of respect, my share of property, my share of money, my share of love, whatever that is, right? But when you're really self-aware, you're able to ask yourself, what is it about this person and their behavior that strikes a chord in me that makes me uncomfortable, right? Because
Yeah.
it's always about you. People say, it's not about you. It truly is about you because you are here to serve, right? So whatever we see predominantly in other people, and I honestly believe this in my heart and soul, is the thing that I need to see, that we need to see about ourselves. That some part of that, somewhere, is lying in me. And the universe loves me so much. It says, Dravon, you couldn't take it. And what that movie said, you couldn't handle the truth, right? So if somebody just came up and said, hey, Dravon, this is what I see in you. So I'm letting you see this in someone else so that you can become more self-aware of yourself. The universe loving on me. Right? Loving on me.
Yes. And as you're saying that, and I'm thinking about the Grinch, and I'm thinking about my dad and stuff, and I'm thinking about this time of year, and I'm thinking about self-love, which is sometimes easier chatted about than really felt. We read about it, we sing about it, we talk about it, we write about it, we know about it. It's obvious, duh, but we don't always feel it. And I was thinking, as you were saying that, it just occurred to me, maybe for the first time, that, so thank you for this, that for me to feel self-love, because sometimes I don't really feel it. Like I feel it, like I know I rock, and I know I do a lot of cool stuff, and I know I'm a good person, and I know I'm really giving, and, blah, blah. I know all that. Okay, fine. But that real self-love, that love that I have for my children, that love I have for my dad, I don't always feel that for me. And when things go a little awry, less do I feel that way. And I was thinking as you were talking, and I was thinking as I was talking and feeling, I should say, I was feeling more that what we can do is, especially those people who really love us, like I was thinking about my dad and the fact that, and deck the halls with gladness to be here. That's such an incredibly profound line. it's like really feel gratitude that we're here and deck the halls with gladness. Like, whoa, what a profound mind. And for me to know that, or to get into the feeling of how much my dad loved me and how all of our loved ones really love us, and for us to take that in, especially the ones that we've lost, because our sadness, I think a lot of times, or one of the elements of of our big bag of emotions, our big, buffet of emotions when we lose someone to transition specifically, is that love that we felt when they were here with us. That fun we got to have, that joy, that reflection of that love that we saw in their eyes. And when it's not here, I think that's part of our sadness, right?
Yeah.
So if we can remind ourselves it's not gone, we'll always have that. We'll never, never lose that. That makes me cry. But we'll never lose that. We'll always have that. So we can tap into that anytime we want.
You're absolutely right. We can tap into that love and allow yourself to those full range of emotions too, because I often say that death is hardest on the living, right? Hardest on the living, because how much you would love to take their face and kiss them on the cheek or hold their hand. And that is the physical body, the physical touch, this body that we live in, right? This machine is so demanding. And it has and it gets stuck in its ruts. Not that that's a bad thing, but it likes the sense of touch and all of these things. So when we remove someone from the realm of being able to physically touch them, the hand misses that, the lips miss that, right? That sensation of touch, right? And then you just talk to the body, and you'd be amazed at how powerful we are when we don't try to stuff those emotions down. So, I miss you. I miss being able to kiss your cheek or to hold your hand. I know you're forever present. I know that you are. Your energy is here. You're forever present. You live through me, and I know that. I am partly who I am today because of the love that you showed me to help me to develop into the woman that I am today, into the person that I am today. But this physical part of me, right? And that you'll be amazed, the flesh will start to calm down. You say, I know your hand misses, his hand, or your lips miss that cheek, and all of these things, just that closeness. That,
Yes.
that type of self-talk, we don't do this enough. We're always, don't get me wrong, we're always talking to ourselves, but the self-talk generally goes something like this: you're so lonely, you'll never have that again. You'll never be able to replace that. That's the type of self-talk that's automatic, right? Because we have to be retrained. I don't believe we came wired that way. We're quick learners. So, we saw the universe around us and we saw other people doing it. We just went into that right away. So we have that type of self-talk that says, you know what, this hurts and it feels lousy to remember this loss. And oh my gosh, there's that phrase, better to have loved than lost than to never loved at all. So true, right? But then we're thinking, well, about the loss, I can't put up with the pain.
Yes.
Surely you are. You are. This wonderful memory that you mentioned about, this part of us. We carry on and we give that love, right? We pay it forward.
Yes.
We carry that love. And because we carry it, guess what? We attract more people who love us and more people who respond to our love. Right?
Yes.
We approach our sadness in that way. And we gotta go through, we're gonna feel the down, you're gonna need a moment. No rushing, no shame, no condemnation. You're going to need a moment to just gather yourself and sit for a moment. Right? But then in that sitting, we're careful not to step over into the quicksand. Right? We watch ourselves. We watch closely and say, oh, okay, we're not going to go from here to self-pity.
Yes.
That energy that's energy too, but it's not as productive. It's not as productive as becoming the observer and having that self-talk that is empowering. It's true, right? And it's forward moving, keeping you in the present moment, but keeping you able to use the present moment to design the next moment.
Yes. And I'm thinking about, or again, I keep using the word thinking, and I'm realizing just in this conversation with you that I use that word thinking a lot. And as I say the word think, I think what I'm really doing is feeling. So
Right.
I'm shifting my word. I'm going to take this from this interview. I'm going to shift that in my life a little bit because, people say, oh, I was thinking of you yesterday, or, we use the word thinking a lot more than feeling. So I'm going to give that just an invitation to you guys to shift that. Just like I've asked you, I've given you the invitation to, when we say, I have to go pick up my kids or I have to make dinner, to say, I get to pick up my kids, I get to make dinner. So that little word shifts our gratitude and our joy so much. So we can change the word thinking to feeling. Okay. So now that I've given you that little gift, another little gift that I want to bring forward, because I was feeling this as you were speaking, Dr. Dravon, is about the gift we can give ourselves, and we can use it at the holiday time because we really focus on giving and receiving. We can use this time as like at the gym working out. We can give ourselves a practice, which is to let go a little bit of the expectation of what this holiday has always been for us. And so if we do that, something new can come in, something even bigger. I think of when we watch, let's say, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas or Hallmark movies where the person, we see the little boy and he's so sad because of whatever, and then we already know in the script that something much cooler is coming, or somebody lost their boyfriend or their husband in a car accident last year, but we see the beautiful blonde girl who just moved to town. We know they're getting together. It's just like, are you guys going to get to the coffee shop yet? Come on, come on. We're sitting there with our hot chocolate. Come on already. And we're like, please let it in. Let this new love in. We know you're sad from that last year and that person was really beautiful, but come on, this person rocks. Like, let them in. So let's be our own. Let's let our own story open.
Yeah,
And
let's start
don't you
like
think?
you're flowing with it, right? You're in this space and you're open. You're open. And that's being the observer, right? Because there's two ways to do that, right? You could be there anxiously saying, you know what, when's it going to happen for me? When's it going to happen to me? And you don't want to be in that space. You want to be there where you're open and you're saying, much like you just said, I'm in my feelings, not in a negative way, but I'm in my feelings and open. I'm open, right? I'm aware of what I'm feeling without shame, condemnation, or blame. This is what I'm feeling, but I'm open to new experiences. Could you imagine if we were still having the same experience from 1979? My goodness.
No,
Could
thank you.
you imagine? Not that 1979 was a bad year or 1989 were bad years, right? But we wouldn't have evolved, right? And to evolve and to grow means that the only way we really grow, right, is through challenges. We hate to say that. I have a team at work and I always open up my morning meeting and say, today we will have many opportunities for growth and development, AKA there will be challenges, right? And so, but that's just what life is. But we will evolve, and the way we're going to evolve is through our challenges, those things that we think, oh my goodness, why me? I talk about in my book. Was always the girl who didn't want to go through anything hard, right? I was very disciplined with my academics, with my, money, just very, very disciplined. I'd read a book, okay, put that in place because I wanted to shield myself from any type of bad experience. And of course, we know how that worked out. A lot of unfortunate experiences. But what I can say is that each one of those experiences, would I have chosen them? No. Would I have chosen the loss that I've experienced in my life? Absolutely not. It chose me, and I had a choice when it chose me to let that be the end of me or let that be the rebirth of me.
Yes, absolutely. And also the judgment. Again, with the feeling, there are those among us in the master world who don't judge any feeling. They actually don't consider any feelings negative or positive. They're just feelings.
Feelings.
And
Yeah.
that's possible too if we really realize, because if we feel sad, angry, whatever our labels are, jealous, resentful, whatever those things are, they can be, if we allow them, to be information for us. I realized at one point I had this feeling that was not correct. In other words, in my life, something would happen for somebody. Like, let's say, I won't use actual names, but somebody, a friend of mine, and they would get a book deal, or they would be singing on a bigger stage, or they would be doing something, and I had this feeling that I thought was jealousy, because I felt as soon as I found that out for them, like they would call me, or I'd see it on internet or whatever on Instagram, and immediately I would be happy for them, and right after that, this feeling would come in that was in my solar plexus, and it was not a happy. It didn't feel good to me. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt deeply. And I thought, what's wrong with me? What in the hell? Like, I'm not a jealous person, am I? But I am, I guess. And then I realized, Dr. Dravon, after I evaluated where it came up, and I realized that there was one thing that was always in common with all of this jealousy that I thought I was feeling. It was that people were doing things that I wanted to do that I wasn't doing yet. And I realized it wasn't that I was jealous of them. My feeling actually was my feeling of being left out of the party. And so it just makes me cry to say this. And so I realized that it was my feeling of being outside the window looking in at like a big fun party, and everyone's, having a grand old time, and I'm not in the party. And I realized, wow, little girl, like, okay. So that shifted everything for me. First of all, I felt happy that I wasn't jealous because I thought that's not, I don't dig that about myself. And then I realized, wow, it helped me so much, Dr. Grapevine, because when it came up again, like somebody came, some famous friend of mine got, #1 bestseller, boop, I would get the feeling in my solar plexus, whoosh. And then I realized, okay, little girl, it was for me to say, it's okay. I don't even want to write a book. That's not even what I want to do. It's cool. And then I could calm myself down, and I could just be into my little girl who felt left out. It's like, girl, Sonny, you're not being left out. No one's leaving you out. You can play anytime you want. It's okay. So that helped me so much. But so I was telling you guys this personal story because I think that there is a benefit of going into this pain, of going into this creepy feelings we have, this judge, and not judging, but go deep and say, what is this about me? Because we all know it's a reflection and all that stuff. So what do you feel about that?
And what I thought when you just said that is so true, right? So you have this feeling and you think, oh, the knee-jerk response is to say, oh, I'm jealous of her or him, right? But as I said earlier, it's never about the other person. We can all say, this is my planet, right? Your planet, her, and it's always about you. It's always about you. Everybody else exists. Everything that shows up in your life, the good, the bad, the in-between, the jealous, whatever, everything that shows up in your life shows up for one reason, and that is to bow down and serve you as you consciously create the life of your dreams. And so in order to do that, we need self-awareness. Otherwise, we're just going to be creating some haphazard thing, right? So we need to know that inside, right, there's that little girl in you. There's that little girl in us who says, you know what? My goodness gracious, everyone's getting what they want. They're moving on to another party. I'm going to be left dealing with last year's scene alone, right? And it's not about me being jealous of them. It's about me having this fear of being in this space alone.
Exactly.
I don't want to be here alone. And then that gives you an opportunity to grow and to talk to your younger self and to let them know how safe they are, right? It's never about the surface thing when we look deeper. It's never about the other person. It's always about us reaching our next level of greatness.
Absolutely. And I know that's right. And it is a very freeing practice, actually. And I know that we have about 2 minutes left, actually. Our time has come to an end so quickly. So I want to really let guys know that you can get this book, Freedom is Your Birthright, because a lot of things that we've talked about today, you dig into that, and a lot of the things we've given you today are gifts for you to celebrate these holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, in all the ways that we really want to, and to do it in a new way. Let's do something new this year. Let's just kind of shake it up, crack it up, and do something new, myth bust, and just wow, just go for it. Do something just like yes, just if you and guys, if you have a whisper, like an idea comes to you, like oh my God, I think I want to make a white cake that is red velvet inside, so it's such a big surprise, and have really fun stuff on top. Guys, just do it. Just anything that comes to your mind that, or your heart that you want to do, just do it. Because as my wise dad Stuart says, who also says, "Why can't every day be Christmas?" He reminds us that we rarely regret what we do, but we often regret what we don't do. So, I know it's a lot of work this time of year and there's a lot to do and all that, but that's what this is about too. It's not about taking the easy way out, because it feels so much better when we do work our giving muscles and our action muscles and our wrapping muscles and all of that stuff. And of course, be eco-friendly in all that you do. Reuse, reuse, reuse. I'm getting it all in, Myrna. You guys know where to find me. I'm gonna just say really quickly so we can have Dr. Dravon tell. But here next week, we're going to do a really fun thing on Facebook Live tomorrow. So we're going to do that on Mindalia TV. You can find me on Mindalia Music, Solutionary Sundays on ABC, and In Whole Lifetimes Magazine, which you can go online and just put in my name, and different articles come up and stuff if you're not in the area. And if you are, pick it up at Erewhon and all that. And you can find me, just my energy floating around in your dreams. My sunny energy. And Dr. Dravon, thank you so much. Please let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on social media at drdravonjames.com, or my website, www.drdravonjames.com, or you can email me at info@drdravonjames.com. And my book is on Amazon. Freedom is Your Birthright on Amazon.
Yes, and guys, let us feel free, because underneath let's just go through it. Let's use that preposition, not over it, under it, around it. Let's just go through it all and have a jolly, jolly time. And Myrna, I wish you and Mindalia TV such a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And I know you want to come on and say an official goodbye, but much love to you guys and much love to everyone. And let's make every day a Christmas.
Ladies, for allowing the Mindalia TV cameras for being a channel for your ideas. Thank you for dedicating this time to us. Before leaving, of course, remember liking, subscribing, because in this way you are helping us reach as much people in the planet as possible. And for now, goodbye until the next transmission. See you soon.